Kylie Jenner, Travis Scott, and Drake are getting a ton of backlash right now after it was revealed that they went to an after party following the tragic incident that took place at Astroworld. According to them, they were completely unaware of what had happened until they were notified at the after party. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know right here on IO. But first, if you happen to be new here and you don't want to miss another video, make sure you tap that subscribe button. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Kylie and Travis were allegedly partying at Dave & Buster's in Houston at a party hosted by Drake following the horrible event that happened at the Astroworld Festival. According to reports, this is where Travis also was notified that 8 people had lost their lives during his show and hundreds more had been injured by a crowd surge. TMZ reported that Travis immediately left the party after finding out. One source goes on to say, Travis didn't know the severity of the situation when he arrived at the party. As far as timing, this remains consistent with the fact that no one, including the police, had publicly confirmed the gravity of the events that had taken place. The party that everyone went to afterwards was apparently a pre-scheduled event hosted by Drake, as I mentioned earlier, who also allegedly had no idea that anything awful had taken place during the festival. Another source close to this after-party celebration said that most of them did in fact know that people had died during the show, but that they didn't take it seriously because they assumed that it had something to do with drugs. They go on to say, everyone knew people died, but it wasn't taken that seriously because some thought it was drug deaths they didn't realize. But celebrities, they should have just had grace and canceled everything. Shortly after all of the news began to come out regarding the horrifying details of the event, Drake broke his silence on the matter and said, I spent the past few days trying to wrap my mind around this devastating tragedy. I hate resorting to this platform to express an emotion as delicate as grief, but this is where I find myself. My heart is broken for the families and friends of those who lost their lives and for anyone who is suffering. I will continue to pray for all of them and will be of service in any way I can. May God be with you all. So far, concert goers have filed 17 lawsuits that allege Travis and Live Nation were solely responsible for the deadly crowd surge. One of the lawsuits specifically is from the family of 9-year-old Ezra Blount. Right now, Ezra is in a medically induced coma as doctors are working to fix the trauma and damage done to his brain. In charge of this legal matter is famed civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Ben also worked as an attorney for George Floyd's family, and in the lawsuit he writes that Ezra was kicked, stepped on, and trampled as he watched other people pick up unconscious bodies of friends and strangers and surf them over top of the crowd, hoping to send them to safety. Ezra was sitting on his father's shoulders during the concert to make sure that he was up and out of the crowd. However, during the crowd surge and chaos that ensued, Ezra's father was overwhelmed by the crowd and ended up getting knocked over. Ezra then fell to the ground from his father's shoulders and was trampled by other attendees before someone finally rescued him and got him to the hospital. According to the lawsuit, his injuries will severely affect his ability to grow and thrive. The more personal accounts that we hear from people that attended the event, the more disturbing this whole situation becomes. There's no question that medical staff and police were not prepared for what went down in Houston. A woman named Madeline Eskins, who attended the concert and confirmed with the press that she was an ICU nurse, said that after being crushed by the crowd near the front of the stage, she fell unconscious. She was then apparently crowd surfed out of the packed area and woke up with a water bottle in her lap and no clue as to what just happened. As she looked around, she claimed to have witnessed other people being carried out with their eyes rolled back and bleeding from their nose and mouth. A security guard even asked her to help them resuscitate other people who had been pulled out of the crowd. She goes on to say in a post about the event, some of these medical staff have little to no experience with CPR, didn't know how to check a pulse, carotid, or femoral. She said that some people who had pulses were getting unneeded CPR, but that there weren't enough people to do CPR on individuals that were actually pulseless, adding, the medical staff didn't have the tools to do their jobs, and despite the crowd around us trying to get someone to stop the concert, they just kept going, even though Travis acknowledged that someone in the crowd needed an ambulance. So my question is that after witnessing all of this chaos and seeing an ambulance literally drive through the crowd of his festival, how in the world can Travis Scott say that he cares about his fans or that he didn't know the severity of the situation until he got to that after party? He shouldn't have made it that far before someone notified him of what was happening. All of those people were there to see him perform, so in a few words, Travis could have controlled that entire crowd and just calmed things down. He stopped the show a few times, noticing when someone had passed out, but I just don't get how you can see that happen and then go on to tell people who want the show to stop that, quote, you know why you came here. He then told them he wanted the crowd to make the ground shake, which must have just been the most terrifying thing in the world to hear if you're being knocked onto the ground and just can't get back up. My heart really goes out to these poor EMTs that had to continuously work on trying to revive people in this chaos and by themselves in most situations. Another TikTok user who claimed to be a medic at the event said that he was on his way to assist another medic and he had to actually go out of his way to save other people because they were just passing out left, right, and center. Jenner. Anyone who has performed CPR knows that it gets tiring, so that's why there should always be a team of 2 people. That way you can switch back and forth and really assist each other in saving a life. But that wasn't an option at this moment, and now we are seeing the tragic results. Right now, these are all the details that we have for you, but as always, don't forget to drop us a comment down below with your thoughts. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.